Today, I am jacked. We're talking breakthroughs, word of mouth marketing with the amazing Matt Ward. So, hey, he's the founder of Breakthrough Champion. Let me give you a little more about Matt because he's a great guy and a really, really smart dude. So, in 2002, which in the internet is like 100 years ago, Matt began working with business owners through his website agency, In Concert Web Solutions, to improve their bottom line, gain more clients, and grow their respective business. In 2008, he sold the agency so he could focus on helping businesses get more word of mouth referrals. Duh. That's why he's here, right? So he's the author of Making Your Website Effective, as well as this new book, which is mostly what we're going to talk about today. More word of mouth referrals, lifelong customers, and raving fans. So it's really cool. Matt's a professional member of NSA like me. He's a graduate of Heroic Public Speaking Grad School, and he's the podcast host of the popular small business podcast, Square Peg Round Hole. What's up, Matt?
How you doing, Phil? It's so great to be on your show. I love it.
Thanks, brother. I'm so glad you're here, man. It's so good to spend a little time with you, eyeball to eyeball, because we haven't yet been belly to belly. So where are you, dude? Where you got Uncle Al behind you there?
Yeah, Uncle Al Einstein. That is a fantastic painting by my good friend Eric Wall. But yeah, so I actually hail from Hershey, Pennsylvania, but I live in north central Massachusetts. So about an hour and a half west of Boston. It takes me about an hour and 20 minutes or so to get to any airport, which makes traveling for speaking a whole lot of fun. as you grimace, right? Yeah. And, but you know, we live in the cold belt, so I love to get out of here and get to the warm areas of the country every now and then.
Yeah, that's smart, man, because I hate the cold. That's why I'm here in Tampa, Florida, baby.
That's I do have a rental property down in Fort Myers, so I love getting down there.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, bring it, brother. So bring it on down to Tampaville. Right? So cool, man. So awesome. So that's interesting. You mentioned Hershey, Pennsylvania. One of the things that I found interesting about your book, because I read it this morning actually, because I was not able to hang out in my apartment this morning. I had other stuff happening that was causing noise and distraction. So I went down and I read your book this morning. Excellent book, but you dedicated to Milton Hershey, a guy that you've never met. Talk to me about that, Matt.
You know, Phil, it's kind of one of those things where I think as we're growing up, we don't really know what we have until we get older, and we look back and we start to see what has formed and shaped our lives. And most people don't know the very humbling story of Milton Hershey. They know that he created the chocolate bar and the Hershey Chocolate Company and Hershey Park and the hotel and all that resort and entertainment district. And they see him as in some cases, a great and astute businessman. But they don't know the backstory. So he and his wife couldn't have kids. And so in 1909, 40 some years before he actually died, he put his entire fortune into a trust fund to live in perpetuity and benefit disadvantaged kids. And I was fortunate enough to attend that private boarding school in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is completely tuition free. You go there free of charge. You can go from kindergarten through 12th grade. And I was there for 7 years. I graduated and received a scholarship to go to college. I didn't use it. College wasn't my thing. But it is, in fact, what set me on a course that changed my life. I'm the youngest of 3 boys, the first to graduate high school and the only one not to go to prison. So I look back at those days and say that school changed my life. I had and I probably even then didn't realize the impact it had on me now, So it was just a big thing. And, a lot of people, the sacrifices he made and the things that changed his life, right? I mean, so here's a great little tidbit for you. Most people don't even know that Milton Hershey and his wife had a ticket on the Titanic and they never got on the boat.
What?
That ticket is located in the museum in downtown Hershey. Yeah. It's, these little known facts. He filed bankruptcy twice. And eventually founded the Lancaster Caramel Company, which he sold for $1 million, which then in turn helped him get his focus on milk chocolate. So a lot of that stuff, we all have trials and tribulations in our lives, but it's the relationships you build. And that's ultimately how he ended up in milk chocolate, is the relationships he built and going to the world fairs and understanding how these machines were coming out and how milk chocolate was the future. And that's where he ended up in it. So I just felt like it was an important thing for me to do to recognize what he's done for so many, over 10,000 kids have graduated from that school or attended that school.
Wow.
So,
well, what greater gift of word of mouth is it than to help 10,000 kids who otherwise would not have had an opportunity, probably many of which who could not afford to eat as much Hershey chocolate as they'd like. So really giving without expectation back, the ultimate word of mouth. Milton Hershey did that, and now has created, I would guess, most of the kids are like you, Matt. Even if they might not write a book about, being grateful, I think they all understand once they get older what an amazing gift that is, man. So that's really cool that Milton Hershey is kind of your word of mouth, archetype, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. He's the guy that started this. So talk to us about really what word of mouth is, because, I've certainly got my ideas on it, but define it for us for those who might not know.
So I think word of mouth marketing is the ability to be referable, right? To get referred by others, but in a way that is so confident that the person being referred to you is ready, willing, and able to buy. And I think that's a challenge, because otherwise it's probably just a lead. I know this person that needs this service or that service, or this business is opening up a brand new business and they might need your service. That's not really a word of mouth referral. And there have been many people before me. This is not a new concept. This book, I wouldn't say, about word of mouth referrals is a new concept, right? Maybe it's a different spin on it. Like some of the people before us, information really isn't new. It's just packaged in a different way. And maybe you got to learn it from a different perspective or approach it in a different way. And that's how I approached it in this book. The belief that I have is that people will refer you, sort of the old school, know, like, trust. But I also believe that there's a fourth component there, that people need to know, like, trust, and care about you. And I define the caring aspect involved in word of mouth referrals, not so much about caring about you like love for family member or love for significant other. I define caring as the fact that they care about you as a person. They don't want your business to fail. And as such, they're motivated to refer people to you to keep you in business, just like they are any other business that they like. And why is that? It's because you cared about them. You put them before you put anything else out there. You're not going out and doing LinkedIn connections and then following up with a sales message in 2 minutes after they accept it. That's not caring. That's self-serving, right?
That's terrible. You see that every day, though, but sorry, keep going.
No, it's all good. I mean, you're right. We do see it every day. And I don't think it works well. There's a guy in the sales space, Anthony. I know. Yeah.
Anthony will be coming on and with his new book really soon. Yeah.
And I'm actually talking to him later this week as well for my podcast. He's been on my podcast before. And the thing is, he recently wrote a blog about this, and he said, how you know that this doesn't work when people do that LinkedIn selling thing? They send you the link to schedule something in their calendar. And when you click it, their entire calendar is available. Is that not the obvious reason of how this isn't working? So why don't we just build relationships, deep, what I consider to be deep, meaningful, and sometimes mutually beneficial relationships? That's the key behind it.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So
I think Phil, it's got to be the high five effect. Do you know what that is?
The high five effect. Boy, I don't. Tell me the high five effect.
What if you only worked with people that you liked so much you would just high five them anytime you saw them?
Oh, right on, brother. Right? I feel that, right? Absolutely.
Get out of bed in the morning and know that you don't have to work with a difficult client because like, trust, and care about them, right? And so you would just literally high five them all the time. That's the exciting thing about building this type of word of mouth referral network, so to speak, and running with caring as the lead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that, right? Because I think care goes at the beginning, right? And at the end, right? Not and by that I mean you obviously until you know, like, and trust, you can't care. But truly, if you don't put your heart out there first, it makes it really hard to ever get any further. So the intention of, people ask me when I do social selling training, Matt, they ask me, they say, Phil, well, aren't I ultimately trying to sell them, right? Don't they? And I'm like, well, yes, but they feel the intention. And if your first intention is, oh, yep, eventually I'm going to sell them, you lose. Instead, my intention is to serve. Bottom line, my intention is to serve. And so funny, this weekend I spoke at the NSA Carolinas chapter. Today already, I had someone who already said, you didn't make any offers at the program, and I'm wondering, how can I give you some money?
Right.
I didn't sell anything, Matt. I was there to serve, right? Sales as a service. So word of mouth as a service, Milton Hershey as a service, and now Matt Ward as a service. So Matt, this is so obvious to me. Why don't people, though? Why don't they see this? Why don't they do this? Why aren't more people just focused on serving those people that they care about? Is there not enough of them in the world? I mean, what's the deal, dude?
I think that it's a rat race, right? It's like some people who don't work for themselves, they work for others, and so the performance metrics are based on closings or sales or whatever. For those type of people, I highly encourage them to start the carrying philosophy in a small, compact way with only 6 people, and then you continue to do the other tactics you have to, because you can't build a word of mouth referral network overnight, right? It takes time. You have to invest, put a lot of trust equity into this bank account so that people trust you. Like you're talking about, you go and you serve and you serve and you serve. But at some point, I think people who are entrepreneurs and even just business owners in general, they worry that they have to pay the mortgage, right? Which is often why we take just about any job that comes our way when we're starting up in a business, and we're like soup du jour with all our clients, and we don't niche down and we don't target market. It's a natural instinct. It's that surviving instinct mode. And I think what has to happen is at some point we have to switch gears and we have to say, okay, now we've got enough business to survive. Let's figure out, how do we thrive? How do we niche down? How do we target market? How do we make sure that I never have to spend another dollar on advertising ever again? Because so caring isn't advertising. Caring is, like you say, serving, giving of others, giving information, giving time, and then not even considering when you will get something back, because the universe just works itself out, and that's how it will work, right? Keith Ferrazzi wrote a fantastic book called Never Eat Alone, about giving without the expectation of getting anything in return. And I think those attributes are very tough to learn. They took me a long time, but that habit is exactly that. You build up sort of a resistance to thinking like that. But I just think it's not always natural, and it's certainly not a quick fix. There's no shortcuts to this. You have to invest your time and your effort.
I totally agree. No, and I'm smiling because I remember back when I was what Adam Grant would call a matcher, right? If you gave me something, I would give you something back, and that would be it. I remember, that was a long time ago, but I remember that. And then I just decided one day that, I'm just going to give. But yeah, there's no overnight success. Let's be clear. So your care package is run in conjunction with a traditional sales program, not in replacement to, until you get some escape velocity, right? Until you start. Yeah. So I think that's an important thing to draw out here, folks. So if you're listening and you're in sales, it's not that you stop selling today and you start caring tomorrow. It's as you're selling, you recognize that you care about people, and therefore you serve some that you don't have any expectation back. It's why one of the things I recommend to people is get involved in your professional association and give. Like, don't just join and then what's in it for me. Okay, because if that's your intention of what's in it for me, it will not get you any business. So if you're a speaker and you're listening to this, please do not join NSA expecting you're going to get more gigs. If you're a professional salesperson and you're inside sales, the AAISP, don't join expecting you're going to get business from this. Join to give, because A, it feels good, and B, second reason is because you want to start down this path of caring, of which Matt's book is fantastic about. The book is called More. It's a great book, easy, simple stuff. So let's move into some of these great tactics, Matt.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of these things, because frankly, you've got so much to give, and I'm not saying that to be cheesy, because that's what your book's about. I mean it, dude. I read this book, I'm like, wow, these are just so smart things that anybody can do, man. I love that, and you're welcome. Yeah. But I mean it, dude. These are like, yes, you could do the whole book. Don't get me wrong, right? But that's not the goal. I think the goal of this book, flip it open, pick page 78. So Matt, let's go to page 78.
I'm going to show you. Okay, 78. Is there 78 pages? No, I'm kidding. Of course there's 78 pages.
Of course
there's 78. Oh wow, did you rant? Did you randomly just pick that number?
Just pick the number. What do you got? Talk to me.
Page 78, giving back. Caring comes in many forms, and taking time to give back to causes that are important to your contacts will show them that you truly care. Does your contact support a specific charity or organization that you would? If they do, provide an item for a fundraiser, make a donation to their favorite organization, or volunteer with your contact, or get the word out for the charity event they're organizing. When it comes to giving back, it's important to give because you want to, not because your contact gives to that charity. This is not about obligatory giving. If you are planning to give your contact's charity, determine if they align with your beliefs. If so, then give. If not, don't. You should give because you want to, not just because your contact does so. And then the tip that's aligned, which I've got a tip in here for every sort of way to give, is there's a new trend in which people celebrate their birthdays by fundraising their favorite cause or charity on Facebook. Consider contributing to your contact's selected causes for their birthdays. It's quick, easy, and it will make an impression. So we have 40 tips in this book, along with 40 what we call lessons, and a couple chapters in the front that sort of outline the thing. You can basically thumb through this and pick any one of these tips on a given day and say, okay, today I want to connect with Phil. Let me just look at this one. Okay, this one is don't worry, curiosity never killed the cat. I read that. I read this one, cutting through the noise, right? And then I pick one of them and say, okay, I can connect deeper with Phil today on that level. So it's meant to be a reference book. You can read this entire book cover to cover in under 90 minutes, but it's not your typical business book that you need to read from start to finish. It's ideal that you read it to get the concepts, and then you put it on your desk and you say, okay, today I want to work on one contact. Let me thumb through this, pick something. Here's a good one. This is a good one, even though today's not Friday, Phil. Frosty Fridays.
Oh yeah, dude, I love that one, man. So let me share that one, because I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to give you the gist here, folks. The cool thing about Frosty Fridays that Matt talks about is not just that on Friday or any day you go and give people some ice cream. It is that you took the time, you had a cooler in your car that could chill down the ice cream to make sure that you're not handing out soup. So think about, I mean it, dude.
It's true.
Because I read that. I read that this morning, and I'm like, okay, there's so much more in that Matt doesn't unpack that I just love, right? You can't have to care about them. You have to know, do they even like Frosties? Because, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm kind of dairy intolerant right now.
Sure.
So knowing that means bring me a sherbet instead of a Frosty, right? Just a little thing, but you think about that, right? I put person in mind, and then you care enough that you just stop by, you hand someone a Frosty, and then you walk away. Mm-hmm. And that's so stinking awesome. So,
and here's the thing that you bring out, Phil, is understanding who your contact is and what they're all about. That's the most powerful thing that this book shows you, is that this isn't about you. This isn't about Frosties. It's about getting the concept of understanding what Frosty Friday is and making that fit for your contact. If your contact doesn't like chocolate, you've got a problem. If they despise Wendy's, you've got a problem. If they don't work on Fridays, you've got a problem, right? If they're lactose intolerant, you've got a problem. So it's up to you to figure out what your contact most likes and enjoys. And that's one of the core components of the care package, is listening and understanding. This stuff is out on social media everywhere, Phil, literally like everywhere. All you have to do is connect with your contacts on social, and don't tell me you keep things separate, personal and business. You should connect with everybody, even if you don't post, because they post so much information, and they're putting it out there publicly and making it available. You know, if people ride horses and have a pool in their backyard and have 4 kids and go camping on the weekends and mow their own lawn, these are things they share with the world. The question is, what are you doing with that information to connect with them on a much more personal level so that they know that you care about them? Like, I know you are a huge Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan.
I like my Bucks. I do. I like my Packers more, but I love my Bucks too, because I live here now. So I got to root for right. I got to root for my Bucks. And so, yeah, but you paid attention. I think paying attention is the number one skill to get more word of mouth. Like, really, just stop right now and go to your favorite prospect, your favorite customers, go to their LinkedIn, go to their Facebook, look at their Instagram, look at their Twitter, and go really, I call it look them in the eyes, right? Really look at them in the eyes and look them up and down and say, what is there that I also care about that's important to them?
You know what I call that, Phil?
What's that, buddy?
Social media. Well, it's kind of, some people like call it lurking. I call it social media espionage.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? You're gathering detailed information about people and cataloging it in your head or on paper or doing something like that, you know?
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about that, because one of the things you talk about in your book is a CRM, Matt. I got to know, which CRM do you use, man?
Yeah. So I've used many over my course of my lifetime. No one CRM is perfect. I used Act before. I've used Insightly. I've tried Karma CRM. I actually currently use HubSpot CRM. That's the one I personally like. But at the end of the day, if you're not using a CRM, you're giving up an opportunity to catalog information. And it is important. Now, I'm not at all going to suggest that you have to create a field for everything in your CRM. You could do that. But when I work with clients on a consulting level, I give them an onboarding sheet for their clients. It's called a contact intake form. And so rather than when they start working with a client, they don't give them that form to fill out. What they do is they fill it out as the person talks over time. So over about a 12-month period, they start to fill in all this detailed information, what their favorite restaurant is, type of car they drive. All that stuff matters because, you know, have you ever met a person that drives a Jeep, Phil?
Yeah, they seem to think that Jeeps are kind of cool. I noticed they're maybe a little interested in Jeep. Yeah,
just a little bit. I drove by one today and it said problem, no problem, right? And that's the tire cover. It's just no problem when they're driving. And then when they're upside down, it says problem, right? So people love their Jeeps. Like that's a whole cohort. Harley Davidson's another one. If you know that about your clients, you can buy them, you know, Harley Davidson tumblers or throw blankets or things like that when it comes time to give Christmas gifts instead of baskets or fruit or something that is expendable like coffee or something.
Okay, so that brings us to an important point here. We're talking promotional products that aren't about us.
Oh, 100%.
So that's very, very interesting. So can we do a tasteful promotional product though that still has a logo on it that's still about them? I mean, I love coffee. Yeah. And giving me a tumbler, a quality tumbler or a quality coffee cup with your logo on it is a great way to make me feel loved.
But let me clarify one thing. There's nothing wrong with that, Phil.
Okay.
But it's not caring. It's marketing and advertising. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you buy that mug, you're buying a bunch of them. You're rarely buying one. And so, while you love coffee, that means I need to find 12 other people or 24 other people, because those come in cases of 12s and 24s. I need to find at least 24 other people that love coffee as much as Phil. And I may only be truly connecting and caring about 6 to 12 people at the moment, right? Trying to get deeper relationships with them. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing promotional products. That just falls under marketing and advertising. And one of the pieces in my book I talk about is rule number 1, stay in touch. People are busy. There's nothing wrong with staying in touch with a coffee mug that's branded for yourself. But don't confuse that with it being about Phil, right? Phil might like coffee, but you're really putting your logo on that. There's a huge difference between giving Phil a coffee mug that's awesome without any logo and giving him one with my logo, right? So we just need to not confuse those things. But for instance, if you create this plan that you want to connect with 6 people in a deep, caring way, you're going to connect with all 6 people every other month, then I would do marketing and advertising on the every other off months, right? So marketing and advertising could be part of the email newsletter that you do. It could be, a branded item, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
But no, okay, good. So that's good to hear. So that kind of brings up a good point there. Just kind of pause for just a second. That is, you still market, you still sell. This is run parallel with that. Sometimes for your best customers, sometimes for your best referral sources, sometimes for your best prospects, but hopefully eventually it becomes a habit more than anything. So Matt, there's so many goodies in that book, bro. Talk to us about, give us one more of your favorites. I picked out randomly page 78.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm going to share with you my favorite. It turns out, apparently, it's a favorite of a lot of other people because it's been showing up in the reviews on Amazon, which I absolutely did not expect. So it is called Brain Hacking with Books. It's on page 72 of the book. And I'll open it up to that for you. So I've been doing this for a long time. And I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. Brain hacking with books. Now, I'll just show you here. It's a good long description with a tip. I'm just going to explain it rather than read the whole thing. It basically is a concept that you buy business books that you believe in, and you gift them to others when they perk up after you talk about them. So Never Eat Alone is one of those books for me. When I talked about giving without the expectation of getting anything in return, people go, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if I would love to learn more about that. And immediately I figure out how to get their address. And then I mail them a book. I write on the inside cover, I hope this book impacts you as much as it did me. Please enjoy. My gift to you type of thing, right? I mail it to them. The key to this is 2 things. Number 1, you must buy the book and mail it to yourself. No cheaping out. You can't. I know it's a gift and Amazon allows you to send the gift. But the reason you have to pay double shipping on this is because you need to inscribe the book, right?
Hold on. I'm just going to laugh here. That's really funny that you had to say that. But I totally see.
Yeah.
People think because they have a Prime membership that they just check the box and spelled $12.13 and had on the Amazon little sticky note that's about 2x3 that says, Hey, Matt, hope you enjoy this book. Phil.
Yeah. Now, look, I have one. It came this week from somebody else, right? I'm incredibly grateful that they gifted me this book, right? Incredibly grateful. This is an option that you can do if you don't have the time, aren't home, etc. There needs to be some other understanding there. I'd rather you do this than nothing at all. But if you can afford the time and the money and the effort, I want you to ship the book to yourself and scribe it to the person and then mail it out. It means so much more. Plus, the other thing is they can't sell the book now or give it to somebody else. It was for them.
Well, hold on. You have a choice here, folks. You can be efficient or you can be effective. It's really up to you, right? I mean, that's the bottom line. And you know, this is exactly what I teach, Matt, which is why I like you so much, right? I mean, we're totally aligned, bro. And so, folks, you're listening to this, right? You read this book. I want to just give you a disclaimer. This is not a check the box book. Okay. This is not a book. You get Matt's 40 awesome insights here and you go do all 40 of them for a customer. And then you come back on this show and you tell me why this didn't work. I'm going to beat you over the head because frankly, it is about intention, folks. This is not about checking the box. Yes, I sent a cup of coffee to Matt. Therefore, I'm really awesome, right? Or I dropped off and I didn't spill it all over him. Yep. Good. I'm done. Right. So this is about intention. So people, if you're listening, if you're thinking, oh boy, you know, this is a lot of work. You have a choice.
But it's not.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah, I know. They're thinking that.
It is a lot of work. You know why it's a lot of work? Because it works. You don't have to make those. So here we go. So quick stat, and then I'm going to throw it over to you for kind of last thought here. Yeah. Recent study, 0.3% of all outreach, cold outreach, is effective. Okay, 0.3%. So that means in 1,000 people, you netted 3. Hey, Matt, I'm just curious, buddy. What's the percentage for people you care about that do this care package?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the actual number, but it's a lot higher than that, right? I mean, the thing is, when you connect on that level, those numbers are shattered. Right? They're through the roof. Now they take time, right? But in the last 4 years, I owned my website agency. We did no stitch of advertising, right? It was all word of mouth. All the business came in word of mouth. And so that was a powerful thing. You know, in the brain hacking with books, what shaped me over that period of time was a number of books. And I list them in here. So Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. E-Myth by Michael Gerber, Working on Your Business, Not in Your Business. Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, fantastic book. And that you can't implement immediately. Never Lose a Customer Again by Joey Coleman. What a great book, just out April of 2018. And the final book I recommend in here is Unthink by Eric Wall. And just about creativity and thinking out of the box. And that's what it took to get to this point of the care package. So if you want to connect on a deeper level, you know, you're going to want to pick up a copy of this book and implement just a couple things. Start slow, implement a couple things. My email address is in there. I'm happy to, you know, respond to emails for people. You know, make these ways of connecting, make them work for you, right? Not everything is going to work exactly like we talked about. You have to start with where you're at and where your client or customer or contact, as I refer to the book, is, and work with that relationship. All right. And so I think that's key.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely key. And as we kind of wrap up here, Matt, that's my encouragement to folks. If you're listening in and you heard, oh my gosh, 40 things in this book, my goodness gracious, I don't have time to do them all. The great news is you don't have to do them all. You need to pick one, do it exceptionally well, make that your signature, and then branch out on that. As you run this parallel with your existing marketing and your existing sales, you run a word of mouth marketing campaign, which is really a care plan, creating your own personal care package with many of the insights from Matt's awesome book, More, Word of Mouth Referrals, Lifelong Customers and Raving Fans, which I just dropped a link for, and I'll make sure they're linked up in the show notes as well. If you do this, and then you listen to what Matt just said, you start where you're at and where your contact is at. You do something for them that they can't give back, much like Milton Hershey did for you, Matt. I'm so grateful for that insight, for your book, and for you, my friend. Thank you so much. If there was a favorite place, though, Matt, that people could connect with you, if they have questions or if they want to share their care package stories, where would you send them, please?
They can go to my website, mattwardspeaks.com, breakthrough-champion.com. Either one of those will get you to me, and I'm happy to have a conversation. And we're also out on Facebook. We've got to get more word of mouth referrals Facebook group if you want to check that out. That's free to join. We're happy to have people there and talk about carrying concepts in this world and how they can cut through the noise and the chatter. Phil, thanks so much for having me on your show. I am so very honored to be here. You are one of my idols, and I this is like hashtag life's goals right here, you know?
You're too kind, man. You're too kind. Well, cool. So, folks, hopefully you got some great value from that, because I know I sure as heck did. Matt Ward is the guy. You go to mattwardspeaks.com, or you just get a copy of Matt's book. Seriously, folks, it's $15 that's going to change your life and change your business and change your mindset, so you can sell more and you can do better at business and start doing business just with people you like my pal here, Matt Ward. So I'm grateful for you, Matt. I'm grateful for everyone watching, everyone who's going to be listening. Have a great day. Get some more done by being a service to others. Have a great day. See you soon.